Do you need to understand why nobody has prepared themselves for the coming pandemic? If you think you might be confused about swine flu, you are absolutely right. The only people who are not confused about whether swine flu represents a real public health threat are the experts. People who have studied the influenza virus for years. Pretty much everyone else is depending on the media for their information. The trouble with this is that most journalists rely on a crash course in virology to get them up to speed on the nature of the threat. This is why you find such diverging points of view in the news stories about swine flu. No wonder you are confused. You are being fed inconsistent information, much of it wanting in credibility and scientific value. In contrast, if you were to interview all the main influenza experts, you would come away with one very simple conclusion. These guys have been holding their breath for years, waiting to see whether the next pandemic will turn out to be a very big one. They don't think it's a matter of if, but when. The question on their mind today, could swine flu initiate a viral wildfire that we are far from prepared to deal with? The fact that no one is prepared to say this will not happen should tell you something. That you are reading this page right now tells me something. You probably suspect that there really might be something to be concerned about swine flu. But you are not quite sure. There is little voice inside your head reminding you that it's better to be safe than sorry. After all, if something was going to be happen, should have done so by now. I suspect that for most people their concern about swine flu peaked the day that the World Health Organization raised their warning level all the way up to level 6 and declared that they were at full pandemic status. Since then, most people seem to have taken the point of view that because the world has not melted or anything, we might as well all go back to business as usual, especially seeing how swine flu is about as harmful as a drink of water. The trouble is, looks can be deceiving when it comes to strains of flu. The last time we saw a flu strain like this novel H1N1 strain began spreading around the world, it ended with the deaths of about 100 million people. It didn't happen that long ago either. It was 1918, less than a century ago, when an H1N1 strain came out of nowhere during springtime, then vanished a month or two later without causing much of a problem, but then it came back in the fall. This time it was completely changed, and that dopey virus that caused little loss of sleep in the early part of the year was suddenly dropping people in their tracks. Those that turned blue didn't last very long, and in most cities around the world, they quickly ran out of coffins and had to stake crossbows in market-shift piles and bury them in mass graves. Well, I could go on about the obvious parallels between the strain that emerged in 1918 and the one we are dealing with in 2009. But really I will only be scratching the surface of a very involved story that actually goes back to Abraham Lincoln and something he did during the Civil War. Something which guaranteed that even if nature acting on its own doesn't come up with a twin version of that 1918 strain, we may yet get to experience it again anyway. Did you get some benefit? Really, I hope that, and I want to help you more and more. Use the resource on this website to cut through the confusion and achieve expert-level understanding of current swine flu pandemic in less than 1 hour.